Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me. I have a few coins to show you today and wanted to go over some crypto education, maybe use an example and go over RSI strategy that can help you take profits. And we'll get into that in just a second. First, I wanted to shout out Crypto Mentor 99. He had sent a bunch of you over here and I certainly appreciate that. I forgot to mention it in the last video. Just a quick story about that. You know, part of the reason why I got into crypto again after leaving it was because of him. He used to do these videos where he would post little post-it notes of a coin name, whether it was Cardano or something like that, and then he would put a target price. And so that got me really interested. It was a good way to catch someone's attention because it was real mysterious. And I ended up joining the group he was in with Jay, and we really enjoyed it. And then eventually we went off to do our own thing. So now we have our own group. There's about 7 of us chartists and analysts that are very experienced. We've gotten about 80 members in 8 days now, so it's going real well. It's like a family, real close-knit community. And we're probably only going to invite 300 people total, so if any of y'all are interested in that, you're more than welcome to go to our website, look at the things that we're offering, and I'll post that in the description below. So enough of that, let's jump into what we were going to talk about today. And by the way, if you like what you hear, if you would please go down there and hit the like and subscribe button. That way you'll always get my notifications when I post a video. I want to continue to provide education to you, whether you join our group or you want to just continue to receive this for free. We think it's very important for everyone to understand how to chart for themselves so that they have more confidence going forward. And by the way, this is probably the most important part of this, is that it's extremely important to hold long if you can. Try not to trade on a daily basis. If you want to trade on a weekly basis, that's okay. But we really feel like it's important that you have a long-term mentality. This bull market's going to last, we believe, until the end of the year minimum. So if you can buy low now and hold till then, that's going to be your best bet for making as much profit as you can, at least until you can get more educated on how to trade on a shorter time frame. So what we'll do is we'll jump into an ADA example that happened this morning. I was actually trading this, and I want to show you just how difficult this can be, even for an experienced person. So if you look here on the daily, we'll just start at the daily real quick. Let me bring up the ADA Binance futures. You'll see that we were following this 50 EMA line for a long time. And now we've extended way past it, which it kind of did the same thing down here. It followed it, it extended, and then it went up quite a bit more. And what happened there is you can see kind of where it just started. And this is a modified RSI line here on this blue that you're seeing on Market Cipher. I like to use this in real time. So what happened is we just kept going up and up and up until we hit the top of the RSI here, which is around 100. And then it hovered here for a little bit, took another dip, and then finally it topped out here and just went sideways for a while. So let's see what that looks like on a regular chart. So this would have been the 4th of February. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, so that would have been back here somewhere. Yeah, so I'll put a little line here so you can see it. It's about right in that area. And you can see we kept going up for a little while, and then we finally topped out here. And so what I wanted to show you is how this reacts when you're looking at an RSI. And all RSI is, by the way, is the momentum of the coin, whether it's bullish or bearish. So what you're looking at is this midline right here, right about the 50 line right here. if you were to just imagine a line all the way through the middle of this, if it's under here, then it's considered bearish. If it's over it, it's bullish. And then way down here in this area where you see these spikes, that's way oversold. So that's a very safe place to buy, especially on a long-term chart. And up here would be overbought. So up here you want to be selling if you can, at least on a longer or a medium time frame. I wouldn't suggest doing this on a shorter if you're not experienced with this. And that's exactly what I want to show, is the relationship between topping out up here and getting out at the top and then waiting till it hits the bottom versus just holding. And so it'll be really easy to see it on a daily time frame. If we just draw a line right here at the very top, we can see that generally on a daily, ADA tends to top out at the 90 RSI. You can see the number way over there on the right. I'll show the number over here. And so that's what we would be looking for on a daily time frame. We'll just go over here and we can see that right here currently we topped out there, and that just happened. When was that? Actually just happened today, and it dipped. So we hit an overbought territory, and so we wanted to sell here and then wait for another entry. We're waiting for it to bounce now to see where it's going to bounce. So this is part of the problem. If you sell, how do you know where to get back in? Unless you're experienced, how are you going to know that? Or unless you have somebody telling you entries and exits, how are you going to know that? And that's one thing we provide with Parabolic Investments for people if they want to join us. But if you can learn this on your own, then you wouldn't need somebody to tell you. That's not to say it's easy. It does take a lot of practice. You do have to put a lot of time and effort into it. So the people that join us are generally people that they don't have as much time and they just need someone to give them guidance. And of course, we're not financial advisors, but we're happy to offer our opinion. And I'll give you an example. Recently, we heard that many groups were telling their members to exit the market. And that's fine. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. But here's the problem with that. If someone that was holding ADA followed that advice, they would have missed this whole move. They would have missed another 40% profit. So what you really need is confirmation. You've got to have confirmation before you make a move like that, especially if you're a long-term holder. So where's our confirmation here? Well, this would be 1 on a short-term basis. Way up here is confirmation. But that doesn't mean the market is done. You know, we're in a bull market, there's no doubt about it. So if we take this right here, back on the 5th of May roughly, 6th of May, and we use this as an example, then we say, okay, ADA, if I was to exit here, which if you would have got out here, you would have gotten out too early. But if you were to exit here and hold your profits or move it to something else, you could have waited until ADA came back down here at the bottom of the RSI. And then at this point, you would have known that it was oversold, and you could have bought back in here pretty safely, knowing that you were in a good position. And that's all it is. You're trying to find good positions to enter, or positions that are overbought to sell. So really you have to make up your mind. If you're a busy individual, I would never recommend trading. I would just hold till the end, which would be the end of this year, December 2021, or maybe something like, I mean, it could extend to February 2022 or even the middle of 2022. We just don't know yet. So that's the strategy there. And one thing you can do aside from that is come down here to the next line, try to find all of the peaks that it's hitting at the next line. And you want to see if you get a bounce there. And typically it doesn't. If it bounces up here, it comes down below that line. So let's step down one more and let's find out where our support is, which would probably be right in this area. So now we're just going to wait to see if this line comes down here, which it probably will, because if you back that out and you look at this trend line right here, maybe we're just going to bounce off there and keep going up a couple more times. So there's plenty of room left in ADA. I wouldn't be getting out just yet, especially if you're a long-term holder. The outlook for ADA to the end of the year is great. I'm trying to remember what we have it set at. Let me check we actually have a spreadsheet where we keep all of our targets and everything. So yeah, our ultimate target is $81 eventually. We don't know if that'll be this year or next year. Our first target is going to be $5.37. And then we've got another target after that. So if you're with Parabolic Investments, we'll give you all of that. You'll have our spreadsheet. We give you continuing education such as this, where you get to learn how to do it on your own. And that's what we want to provide, is more confidence for everybody. And so the real-time example I wanted to give you is this. If you were to be looking at this and you said, well, I don't have a sell signal on the daily just yet. I don't have one on the 4-hour just yet. So you got to keep going back. And you finally got one on the 3-hour. And this just happened. If we actually go back to this morning when I was trading it, you received your first sell signal at about 10 a.m. my local time. And so let's see what that looks like if you're trying to trade it on a shorter time frame, and I'll show you just how difficult this is. So once I saw that, I had to go down to a lower time frame, because what I'm looking for is I want to see if it's going to break down below this bullish line on the RSI. So that's about the 50 RSI bullish line. And it did right here. It broke down on I used the 12 minute, but I had to be sure, so I had to go down to the 6 minute. And yes, it did break down. It broke below the 50. So when I saw this, that's about where I exited, because I need confirmation it's going to break through there. And the reason why you need that is because sometimes you'll get these fake outs like this. It'll just bounce right off of that line. If you would have sold here, you would have lost money. If you would have sold here, you would have lost a lot of money. So this kind of illustrates just how tough it is and why you need somebody experienced looking at this stuff for you, so that when you get ready to make your trade, you watch for the alerts that we post at Parabolic Investments, and then you have a more confident feel because you have 7 chartists watching this for you. All right, so let's look at, I think I was going to show you 3 different coins here, yeah. So let's look at some coins that you can jump into now that have a very good long-term outlook. And aside from that, the big advantage of them is that they are low on the chart. So their RSI is very low on a daily perspective. See, here's the first one, ZAP. And you can see that we haven't quite covered or crossed over this line right here. So we're still below the bullish line, but we're creeping up to it. You can look at it like this. We're kind of doing this little trend line here. And this is just RSI. We're not looking up here at the candles. I find this much more valuable as far as information goes. So what I'm expecting to happen is this. We may come up here and do one of these, but eventually we're going to keep going up like that. Not going to happen immediately. It doesn't happen like that. We know it takes time. It's found a base of support here. I feel like this is very solid on a daily perspective. So if we that was the hourly. Let's step up to the daily actually. Yeah, so you can see there the daily even shows a better picture. Yeah, see it's much lower down here on the RSI. And then we're still getting this upward trend. Every once in a while you'll get these little spikes down, but it's still looking real good. And then up here, if you're looking at your chart, here's your trend line. And we have to keep thinking long term. Let's get away from thinking short term, medium term. That's for day traders and people that know what they're doing. If you want to save money by not trading in and out, then this is the way you do it. You buy things at their bottom point, not up here when they're going. The news is going to hype you up when you're up here, and then you're going to buy at the top and be upset. So let's wait for the good targets. Let's wait till it comes back down to support. That's exactly where we're at. And as far as a target on a daily, we can take, well, let's just be conservative here. We'll take the top and the bottom. And so our first target would be something around 56 cents, 75, and maybe around 90 cents. Those are the first three targets. We think it's going much higher, but these are some that you can keep an eye on using Fibonacci. So that's ZAP. That's one of the best ones right now, I feel like. And we get a lot of questions about Icon as well. This one's in really good position as well. Very similar to ZAP. It's on its way up. We're using RSI here to kind of determine what the overall direction is. And it matches. I mean, that's one thing you can look at is if this is matching, if you have the bullish trend going with both, and that's very bullish. Sometimes you'll get something like, sometimes you'll get a bearish divergence where you can find places you can exit. Something like that, where you get a higher high that comes down to a higher low on the RSI. So even though things are going up, you can kind of predict areas like this. You can kind of see it coming. But even, of course, we know if you look back, it's a much easier to see it if you're just looking back. I mean, if you were to expand this, and let's say we hadn't seen that yet, here's what we were looking at. You can't really tell much from this yet. You're looking at this RSI, you think it might just keep going up to make a double top, and that's where you'll sell. Well, that would have been wrong. It came up short. So once you saw this peak right here, you could have drawn your trend line. And that's what they call a bearish divergence. Even though you're going up, your trend is up here on the candlesticks, while you're going down here on the RSI. So you could have predicted that this was going to happen. You're losing momentum, basically. And then if we use that same technique for finding the tops that ICX likes to put in on the RSI, you'll just back out a little bit. You can do your horizontal trend line there. Back out a little bit more. Well, you could put one here if you wanted to, but this is the absolute peak that it's had. So that would put us at 95 or so, and 85. So somewhere in there is the top on a daily chart for ICX. So that's kind of like your profit taking zone. And to give you an example of what a profit take might look like, you can set, here, let me show you real quick what this would have looked like before the move. We'll just look at a Fibonacci. This isn't going to be perfect, but it'll be pretty close. So you can see we pretty much topped out at the top of this Fibonacci. But you could have used this purple line here for the 618. You could have used that as your first profit take, and you would have just missed it a little bit, but you could have waited for this next one. So you'll take maybe 20%, 30% profit here at this first line, and then you'll step up to this next one. You'll wait for that one to hit, and you may get more aggressive. You may take 30, 40%, whatever you want to do, but it's always a good idea to stay risk averse and leave some in just in case it keeps going up. And so when you do these profit takes, just find another coin. Let's say we had sold ICX. We took our profit. Okay, we've got 20% profit. We're ready to spend somewhere else. So what you can do there is you can wait for a rainy day when everything's red, buy something cheap. You're just taking the overvalued asset and buying the undervalued asset with it. And then we jump back here. Let's say ZAP's ready to go. Yep, right down here, we take our 20% profits, we throw it into ZAP. Now we're ready to, we've rotated that money over. Now we're ready for it to go up, and we're making efficient use of our money. And the last one I wanted to look at, this is another one, the theme of today is we're trying to find undervalued assets that haven't moved yet. So if we look at REN, this is one not many people talk about. A friend of mine, actually he's one of the analysts in our group, he told us about this. And at the time it wasn't really ready. It actually came down some more, but now it's looking much better. Could come down a little bit more. You can see that it's putting in kind of like a bull flag or a descending wedge. And so it's just bouncing around in here. It's going to get real tight and then it's going to take off. And so you can see, you can use it the opposite way, by the way, for the RSI. Instead of just doing this right here, now you'll draw it down here. And now you're looking for anything in this area. You can kind of make this your buy zone. Let's make another one there. And then we can even label this, we'll call it the buy zone. And so as soon as it hits your buy zone, you buy it. You don't have to wait for it to hit this bottom line. We could have bought right there. It may come down and touch the line again, we'll buy there. And that's another thing you can do too. You don't have to put your whole profit or whatever that you took from another coin. You don't have to put it all in one buy. You can buy a little bit here, wait to see what it does, buy some more here. It's a good way to do what we call laddering in. So you slowly make your position instead of buying it all at one time, just in case it comes down some more. And so our top area would be somewhere in here. So for this one, yeah, this one doesn't really, it's not as, doesn't have as much potential, I don't think. So between 75 and 90 RSI is usually where it ends up. Sometimes it gets to 95, so it's not too bad. But another example would be, you get out up here and you buy right there. And it's easy to say hindsight, of course. I mean, we're looking at the past. It's very easy to say, oh yeah, that would have been a great buy and sell, but nobody can do tops and bottoms. It's just impossible. So just do the best you can with the information that's been given to you. And I think that's about all I was going to say today, guys. I mean, for a target on REN, you can look at, well, first you're going to see it hit areas like, it's going to have to come back up and test these areas of resistance that it fell under. So $1.20, $1.35, $1.76, and then it'll start moving up from there to something like $2.40. So just use your Fibonacci to find your targets, and these are it really depends on how soon you want to take profits. You could start laddering from here, or you could wait until it breaks this previous resistance up here and then start taking 20, 30, whatever percentage. It really has to be your plan. Everybody's got their own individual plan, so think about what yours is. Absolutely think long term. One thing that we just did in a Zoom is I provided this PDF, and we talked about having a long and short portfolio. If you're going to do a long portfolio, which I highly recommend, it's good for anybody, even an experienced trader. So 90-10 long portfolio, 80-20, and what that means is that your very good projects like ADA, DGB, XLM, you'll hold 90 to 80% of your entire portfolio in those, and you're just going to hold them to the end. There may be a couple parts of the bull run where we can get out, where there's some bigger dips, but for the most part, you're just going to hold them, and then have fun with with your other 10 to 20%. You don't have to trade your whole bag. Use this 10 or 20% of your portfolio to have fun with, experiment, trade in and out. This will be your bag that you make some mistakes with, and that's okay. You'll learn that way better. And so, so you'll sell the partial hold bag at large corrections. We're looking for 50% dip or more. We don't want to trade the 20 to 30% dips because it's too risky for our long-term investments. These are our investments that are going to make us financially secure. There's just zero reason to mess with that. You've got to look to the future, be patient, Warren Buffett did not become the person that he is by trading in and out all the time. He preaches patience every day to his clients, to I'm sure his friends and family. You know, he's a smart man. So if you are a more risky person, and I don't recommend it, only 1% of people would want to do something like this, and they would be people that have a lot of experience in charting. And you can do like a 50-50 trading portfolio, but it's very, very risky, and you should only be risking what you're willing to lose. And up here I said that the more you trade in and out, the higher likelihood you will lose profits, and that's very true. So these are the kind of things that you get with our crypto group. If you are interested in that, I'll leave the link. I do appreciate you joining me today, and we'll see you next time.